Do you have some assets that require active management? Do you have brokerage accounts or real estate or rental properties? Do you have a potential problem heir? An heir with divorce problems, an heir with creditor problems? Do you have a potential problem heir who may object to what you've done with your estate? Are you remarried? These are all great reasons to consider a revocable living trust as the primary vehicle for your estate planning. Hi, I'm Mark Biernath. I'm an estate planning attorney here in the Atlanta area. A revocable living trust is simply a trust that you create for yourself for your own benefit. In order to take full advantage of a revocable living trust, you need to have assets that can actually be owned by the trust, and then you actually have to transfer ownership of those assets into the trust or make the pay on death beneficiary designations be your trust. One way to think about trust is like a business. You're creating a business to manage your assets and your affairs if you become incapacitated, and that business can continue even after you've passed away. A trust is not a legal entity like a corporation or an LLC, so there are no filing requirements with the Secretary of State, and there are no publicly accessible records of a trust. So a trust is a great way to maintain privacy. Assets that are in a revocable living trust avoid probate. This is important on two fronts. One, to avoid living probate. This is where if you become incapacitated, we have a way of managing assets in the trust. And upon death, it avoids probate. So the process of transferring assets on death through a will, you can avoid that entirely by using a revocable living trust. Living probate is where the court imposes certain restrictions and conditions on an estate in order to allow someone else to manage that estate. If you want more information about this, I've got several videos online concerning decision-making for incapacitated adults. That's the whole guardianship and conservatorship process, which once you're involved in it, then the court imposes lots of rules that they apply rather strictly to persons who are managing someone else's estate. You can avoid all that by using a revocable living trust because what's in the trust is not under the jurisdiction of the probate court. So even if for some reason you do need a guardian or a conservator appointed for you, the assets that are in the trust are beyond the reach, beyond the grasp of that conservator and that guardian. You can still have whoever you've selected as your trustee manage those assets for you. Upon death, all assets already in your revocable trust will pass pursuant to the terms of the trust. It never falls under the jurisdiction of the probate court. Therefore, if anyone wants to challenge what the trust says to do, they must do so in superior court. That's a more formal and complex proposition, and therefore that alone acts as a deterrent many times from challenging a trust. Furthermore, in a trust, we can build in some provisions that will further discourage anyone from challenging the terms of the trust. The trust can provide some great benefits. For instance, in the trust, you can give the trustee directions on how to meet your needs and those who are dependent on you if you become incapacitated. Do you have a particular type of nursing home you would like to be in? Do you have a particular type of nursing home you do not want to be in? All of these kinds of things is information that we can put into a revocable living trust. And with the right assets and the right management team, you'll be able to express your wishes and have those wishes met through your revocable living trust. Do you want to take advantage of certain tax planning strategies? Oftentimes, a revocable living trust may be that foundational document that's going to open the door to some additional, more complex planning strategies as well, such as using family limited liability companies or some of the other more sophisticated tools as well. Oftentimes, that revocable living trust is still the key to how we're going to manage the interest in those various entities if something happens to you. So a revocable living trust may be that initial, that first component, that cornerstone to build your estate plan on. So you may think you would like to use a revocable living trust to manage your estate, but be careful. There are many different types of revocable living trusts. You may have identified that yes, you need a vehicle, but does that vehicle need to be a go-kart? Does it need to be a sports car? Does it need to be a sedan? Does it need to be an SUV to get over some rough terrain? Perhaps it needs to be a minivan in order to transport a large number of young children. Determining what type of vehicle and what are the features that your vehicle needs to have to meet your needs is where a qualified attorney sitting down with you, getting to know what your family is like, getting to know what your assets are and what your goals are, is where that estate planning attorney will help you craft the plan you need. We're a full-service estate planning firm. What we like to do is at our initial consultation is to sit down with you, and we spend almost an hour and a half just talking with you to find out about your family, what your goals are, what your estate consists of, and then at the end of that first meeting, we're able to sketch out a generalized plan of what we would suggest for you as a way to accomplish the goals that you've expressed to us. We invite you to give us a call, schedule your free, no-cost initial consultation, and we'd love to sit down with you to discuss your family's needs, what your goals are, and how we can assist you in meeting those goals.